Good morning. Well, it could be any time, anywhere. Good afternoon. It's Friday here. Maybe it's not Friday when you're watching it, but today we are talking about some crazy home buying stories that I think are going to tickle your fancy. Hang on, I got to get rid of that for a minute. Check out my swanky background. What? So I promised you real stories, and I'm going to follow through because things don't always have to be serious. Home buying is a serious process, but it doesn't. Some stories that come out of it are pretty, well, entertaining. So buckle up. I'm going to read you some. Got them from these places. So here we go. Some of them are older and some of them are not as old. Okay. So just for fun, what's weirdest home buying experience? I don't know why I can't say the. Okay. So what this home buyer says, I'll go first. Scheduled a showing for a house with agent. Agent confirmed. We show up, walk in the door. Homeowner comes wandering around the corner in boxers and an open robe. No, we didn't buy the home. Okay, so here's my question. Would that prevent you from buying the home? Why did this take the place of that? Would that prevent you from buying the home? Somebody being an owner being in a bathroom? Or do you think an owner, it might prevent an owner from actually selling to that person? That's the question. Okay. Okay, bought a house from a gentleman who was letting his son live in it. After I closed on the house, the neighbors told me the former tenant was crazy and that he came over to their house, kicked their door in, and tried to unalive them. I ended up having to call the local police twice because he kept showing back up. And the last time, he just walked in while the house was being worked on, and he was aggressive with the workers. He ended up being arrested that day. Haven't heard from him since. Okay, so that might be a legitimate one. Okay, because if this guy's crazy, he thinks that's his house still, and he keeps coming back. He tried to do a terrible thing. I mean, would he come back? Would you feel safe in that home? Okay, next up. We bought a house. Everything checked all the boxes. The lady had cats and a dog, so naturally the house smelled like animals. The animals. The burning candles when we saw the house, and we figured she just never cleaned. No thoughts about it. The inspector said, the only concern is the animal smell. We buy the house, move in, and that smell is still there. We clean and clean, mop, wipe down all the walls, everything. That smell. We have a sort of unique basement where half is finished as a room and the other half is unfinished with all the utilities and some large boulders that the house was built on top of. Well, we need to go in there one day. And in the back corner, you can barely reach in between those boulders, was Cat Crap Mountain. Her cats found a way into this area and used it as a litter box. Holy F, we were disgusted and pissed. Took a lot of enzymatic cleaner and a boatload of other crap to get that smell out. I missed some of those things there, but this is a legitimate thing. So I found out, and I'm going to show you in a second here what you should do if you do have that smell, and you can do this on your own. But I had a client who, it was years ago, the house just smelled of dog urine. It was just awful. And we were like, yeah, we'll just get it cleaned afterward. We thought this. So I learned this as a realtor too. They hired a guy to come in with a black light, and turns out the whole entire carpet was saturated with dog urine. So you can get something like this. Okay. Now look at all these versatile uses. One that made me kind of go, what was, gross, vegetable worm detection, but find golf balls. That's kind of funny, right? Plant pollination. I don't know why you have to find that, but so it will tell you all things like this. These are all the different ways that things can. Hang on a second, I heard a noise. Okay, I'm back. I heard something and I thought somebody screamed or it was my parents' dog or something, because they're still here and they are going back next Wednesday and take them back to New Mexico. So I have a little story about that too. Okay, so just this kind of stuff. So you can imagine when those people came in, like what you saw is pretty gross. So bring a black light in, get somebody in before you close on the house just to see what the stains might be. Ew. Okay. Not my story, but happened in the house next door, which had been sitting vacant for a couple of months while it was on the market. Seller's realtor came by to do a quick walkthrough because he had a few showings over the weekend and wanted to make sure everything was as it should be. Found a naked man laying in his own poo in the living room carpet, overdosed on God knows what. Turns out to be an armed and dangerous wanted felon who'd knocked off a bunch of pawn shops in the previous week. Manhunt caught his three accomplices, but they were still looking for him. The poor realtor fled to our house to call the police and the ambulance. Pretty sure that was the worst thing he'd ever come across. That is insane. And that's something that whenever I show homes, I always lock the door behind me. And I always tell my clients, I'm not locking to attack you. I'm locking to make sure nobody else can come in while we're here, because there's people out there that lurk and you never know what can happen. So can you imagine this happening to you? I guess these aren't too funny so far, but there are some funny ones, I promise. Okay. Oh God, I wanted to say that's my house, but so there was another story. I had the same experience as this other person, but as a homeowner. This crappy Redfin realtor booked and confirmed a showing appointment of my house, knowing that I still lived there, and then didn't tell me. I'm deaf, so I scared the living crap out of these people. I'm in my pajamas cooking breakfast and clearly didn't hear them, but they heard me. So as it turns out, they're frantically shouting, "Hello, show yourself." And I'm just like, la, 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 making some hash browns. And that's the story of some people who didn't buy my house. Now, that's another unfortunate thing. This is why you need to have a realtor that communicates with people, so this kind of stuff doesn't happen. And you also have what is called a CBS code, call before showing, so that a realtor can't just show up without that. And I don't know if that's what happened, but you never know. Okay. I was a first-time home buyer purchasing a townhouse. The townhouse was from the 70s and pretty much had nothing updated at all. I knew that it was a fixer-upper. However, there was the oddest thing. There was a rectangle of carpet in the living room cut all the way down to the concrete. The rectangle was about 3 feet by 6 foot. Anyway, at closing, I was about 98% done signing the mountain of paperwork when I decided to ask the seller, who came from out of town, "So what's up with the rectangle of carpet cut out in the living room?" To which he replied, "Oh, that's where my wife rolled off the couch and died." He went on to say, "Nobody realized she was dead for quite a while. So yeah, her body had to be cut out of the carpet to be removed from the house I had just bought." Question, comment below if you would still buy a house if there had been a death in it, or whether you would or would not, okay? I don't find it's a big deal, but in this story, I would have been, if I was the buyer, I would have been asking about that rectangle a heck of a lot before the signing date, you know? Okay. This joke reminds me of the time I went to a house listed as a 3-bedroom, looked around and could only see 2 bedrooms. It was an open concept house, so there really weren't any other plausible spaces you could describe as a bedroom, nor any large closets. I've seen people try to pass these off as bedrooms too. I asked the agent about it. He told me it was listed as a 3-bedroom because if you added a wall to the master bedroom, it would be a 3-bedroom. I didn't know how to respond to that. So in that case, I'd drop the realtor, not the house necessarily. Spent about 2 months looking for a property with a couple. They barely qualified for what they were looking for, so each offer was a battle just to get it reviewed. Finally found a house that had a willing seller, good listing agent, and it checked all but one box. That box. The guest bathroom had a shower curtain the wife didn't like. This is so funny. Seriously, not a glass door or anything permanent, but a removable curtain held by those bars you twist into place. I even offered to buy them a $200 gift card to Home Depot or Bed Bath & Beyond to help them find something different. Nope. That curtain killed the whole thing for the wife. Needless to say, I fired them as clients immediately after that. Is it worth it to cancel a deal over a shower curtain? Isn't that crazy? Or a curtain? Isn't that crazy? Loved the house. It fit all our needs. We were pumped. As we were leaving, we stood on the porch to take in the neighborhood. The house directly across the street had built shelves into the windows facing the house that we were viewing. The shelves were filled with old creepy dolls staring at the house we were looking at. Hundreds of dull, lifeless eyes waiting for you to go to sleep so that they could kill you. They were sun-faded. We noped out of there with our realtor's blessing. It was 20 years ago, and it still freaks me out. Why? Just why? And that is something to think about when you're buying a home. Make sure you check out the neighborhood and make sure you check the neighbors' homes because you're going to be living next to that. Not a realtor, but I worked in finance at an RV dealership a few years back. I had a couple fly in from out of state to look at a brand new $400,000 unit that had specific features they were after, and they put a deposit on it. I got them approved and scheduled a time for them to sign, but they backed out at the last minute because they weren't sure the cat would like it. They flew back home. That's not going to come without consequences, and we'll talk about that at another time. I'm not a realtor, but one of my childhood friends' mothers was, and she told me this story when I was in 4th grade, and I still think about it nearly 20 years later. She came home upset one day after school, and we asked her, what's wrong? She said she just lost a sale because of a toilet seat. A toilet seat. You heard that right. Okay. During the initial walkthrough, her client pointed out an epoxy toilet seat that was filled with seashells and how much she loved it. She made an offer on the house. Later, they do the final walkthrough, and right before going to sign the closing documents, and that toilet seat is gone. And it's replaced with the normal white one. The woman is pissed and refuses to close without the toilet seat. The sellers refuse to give her the toilet seat. The sale falls through. Can you imagine buying a house, a house because you want an epoxy toilet seat? This was the 90s, so there wasn't that whole internet of things at our fingertips just to buy and get a replacement, but still. Yeah, so you couldn't just go to Amazon. But here's the deal. This is why you have to have a realtor that knows what they're doing too, with the listing and with the buy. So if that's part of the deal, it needs to stay part of the deal. The other thing is, it's technically a fixed. Anything that is a fixed stays. Okay, so like when you have a TV on a wall mount, the TV goes, the wall mount stays, unless specifically stated by the seller and in writing in a contract that the wall mount does not convey. So they would have had to talk about the toilet seat, and the listing agent would have had to convey to the buyers that was not part of the deal. I can't imagine, I can't imagine a transaction going awry because of that, but I would have just bought her a new toilet seat. What would you have done? Oh, okay. And so now we are ending with some memes. Okay. Some real estate memes, and we'll be done for the day. Good morning to all agents, except those that don't confirm or acknowledge that they received an offer. And if you want to ask me about that, I'll tell you, because that's crazy. It drives me nuts. There's nothing that drives me more crazy. What people think selling real estate in LA is like, what it's really like. This is also true for Arizona. Also true for Arizona. Me trying to explain what I think interest rates will be in 6 months. And this is funny because this is what the big topic is right now and why I'm talking about this stuff. Now is still a good time to buy. I promise. Redoing the deck. So I went to Party City and purchased a skeleton. Now in 20 years, when the new homeowner needs to redo the deck, funny or not? You tell me. And I think this is the last one. This would be me. When buyers are taking a video of the house and the camera points at me. I feel like that all the time anyway. Final thoughts, guys, okay? If you have any weird stories of home buying, let me know. Whether you're a realtor or a buyer, okay? Like and subscribe, because you know who it will be. You know who will be happy, right? Because the journey begins with you. So be good to yourself. This is a longer one today. Must be because it's Good Friday. Happy Good Friday. Happy Friday. Happy everything. Happy weekend. I love you. And I'll see you next week, okay? Okay, bye.